Hello everyone, Nostril here with a commentary track for my playthrough of the level The Avenger, the bonus level in the Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. As that description indicated, this level was devised during the game's development. It was showcased once to the general public at the Consumer Electronics Show, but was ultimately cut because it was deemed too difficult for new players. But for this remaster, they have brought it back for us to play through for ourselves. And as a huge Star Wars fan, and as someone who has an interest in cut content for various video games, this was right up my alley. So, one thing you'll notice in this playthrough is that this is a pretty fast-paced playthrough. I just kind of plow through it. That's due to the fact that this is not a blind playthrough. I had already played through this level a handful of times before. If you want to watch a video that's more slower paced, that's a blind playthrough, that gives a good accounting of what it's like to play this level for the first time, there's a YouTuber who goes by the name damsonn who has a pretty good video that I'll post the link for it in the video description. But this level takes place on an Imperial Star Destroyer, presumably the same Star Destroyer that you see at the beginning of A New Hope, because that Star Destroyer is named the Avenger. Little quirk here I just reacted to the Stormtrooper body there resting on the ceiling. For some reason, that particular catwalk is bugged, so the weapon drops stay on the catwalk surface, but bodies actually land on the ceiling for some reason. But I don't know if it was their intention, because later on in the level you'll see that I find the Death Star plans on here. I don't know if this was meant to be a straight up like a first version of the first level in the game, or if they just put that there for demonstration purposes. But in any case, even though this level was cut, elements of it would be reused in various levels in the retail game, particularly the actual first level called Secret Base. Now right there, I just reacted because that platform, if you're not careful, if you loiter under it while it descends like that, it will crush you and it will kill you. And that happened to me on one of my playthroughs. I'm not too proud to admit that. And we get a little view of one of the turbo laser turrets on the ship. Now, granted, this was, concessions have to be made for gameplay's sake, but this level is much too small to take place on an actual Imperial Star Destroyer. ISDs are 1,600 meters in length, so roughly a mile long, and this is definitely not a mile long, but, like I said, gameplay concessions. It is interesting to note, though, that some very early blueprints that came out, like right after the original Star Wars movie came out in 1977, some of the oldest blueprints for the Star Destroyer actually have an incorrect length reading for it. It puts it at about 450 meters instead. So maybe it's one of those. Maybe you could come up with a headcanon that the Empire has like a miniaturized version of the ISD like that. Now, when I picked up that key card there, this is one of the quirks of this particular level. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but mission critical objects like those keys are placed on ledges that are inaccessible if you just try to walk up to it, or even if you try to jump. Instead, you have to crouch and then jump while you're crouching. So it's kind of weird. It actually stumped me there for a little while before I realized what I actually had to do in previous playthroughs. Now, this segment here this little room here was almost entirely transplanted into the Secret Base level in the retail version of the game. But there, the level architecture is different. And here we're storming the bridge of the Star Destroyer and taking out the command crew. I gotta say, if they decided to go with this version of Kyle stealing the Death Star plans, it would have made for quite the awkward moment when Darth Vader catches up to Princess Leia on the Tantive. I can just imagine how that conversation goes down. I am a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. Lady, your personal rebel errand boy just got done killing half the crew on my ship. Just how dumb do you think I am? So maybe it's for the best that they decided to go with the different telling. I gotta say, really quick aside, I really like the ambiance of this area with the Death Star hologram, and here we have the Death Star plans. Even though it's more or less the same as in the secret base level, it has slightly darker and moodier lighting, and it kind of really adds to the ambiance, I feel. But once again, this is one of those weird spots where I had to crouch and then jump in order to actually get through that small passageway. But now that we have the plans, we're going to be doing a bit of backtracking. I should probably point out that the crosshair that I'm using is one of the many different crosshair options that the Dark Forces Remaster provides. And anyone who's played the X-Wing series of like space combat simulators will instantly recognize this as the targeting reticule for the various ships in those games. And as soon as I saw that, speaking as a huge fan of that series, I knew that this would be my go-to crosshair, and I've been using it ever since. So far, I haven't had much of a chance to play through the Dark Forces Remaster yet. Truth be told, I've actually never played Dark Forces all the way through from start to finish, despite being a big fan of the Dark Forces Jedi Knight series in general, and have beaten just about every other game in the series. I actually never got around to this one. That was for a couple reasons. One was I never owned this game for the longest time, and the other was that when I tried playing it, because a friend of mine had it when I was growing up, and so we would play it when I would visit his house. But I quickly learned that many of because this applies to other early first-person shooters, not just Dark Forces. For some reason, when I play them in their original format, they give me motion sickness. If I play for like more than 15 or 20 minutes, I start to feel nauseous, and I have to stop playing. But for any sort of like remaster or source port like this that allows for kind of more true 3D, I'm fine. And this little intermission here, I cut a couple of minutes from my playthrough here. It was an embarrassing series of falls here, trying to cross these ledges. And once you know it, I had done a warm-up run before recording this, and I did it on the very first try, that one. Go figure, right? But I figured no one would want to watch me flail around for a couple minutes like that. So now we get to kind of the second large portion here, and I'm reacting to the 3D model of the TIE Fighter here. I have a soft spot for these kind of early 3D polygonal models. Once again, having played games like the X-Wing series, and I played the original versions of X-Wing and TIE Fighter that came on floppy disks that didn't have the extra bonus levels and content in the higher resolutions. So that's basically what those spaceships looked like. So I have a soft spot for those visuals because of that. Got a bit of a shooting gallery here, taking out all the stormtroopers in the hangar. Before I go down there, there's the yellow key card. There's not much more left for this playthrough here, but... And now we're in the main hangar of the ISD. And one thing I didn't notice until after the fact when I was reviewing the footage, you'll see me look up here momentarily. There's a second TIE fighter, but it's not the same TIE fighter model that was in the other room. It's got a more detailed set of wings, so it's kind of interesting. They, for some reason, made two separate models. Maybe it's because the one in the room I'm about to enter maybe was meant to be an interactive one, because as you'll notice as I go here, it says the mission objectives are complete. So presumably to end the level, you escape via the TIE fighter. So, which, okay. Yeah, and the model itself, you can just clip right through it. But TIE fighters, though, as Star Wars fans know, don't have hyperdrives. So wherever Kyle was going to go to was probably going to have to be pretty darn close by. But so anyway, that was the playthrough of the Avenger level for the Dark Forces Remaster playthrough. I hope you enjoyed this commentary track, and take care, everyone.